Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Global. We'll get you all the top stories from India and the region. I'm Gautam Roy. And for news from the rest of the world, I'm joined by my colleague in London, Ollie Barrett. How are you doing, Ollie?
Good afternoon, Gautam. It's 12:30 p.m. here in London, 1:30 across Central Europe as much of the world deals with an IT outage. Zelensky meets with the UK's new cabinet and Donald Trump accepts his party's nomination for president. First, the headlines.
Cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike blames a content update for the Microsoft Cloud Services outage, which hit vital banking, markets, retail, aviation and health services worldwide. The Indian government steps in to assure the people. IT minister says the government's network hasn't been affected. Nation's cybersecurity watchdog CERT-In issues an advisory for firms with workarounds to negotiate the outage. Donald Trump accepts the Republican Party's nomination for the US presidential election in a marathon speech. Pressure mounts on incumbent Joe Biden from top Democrats to bow out from the race. And the death toll in Bangladesh's students' protest mounts to 50. India says all nationals in the neighbouring country are safe. Well, a major cyber outage hit several IT systems across the world, including India, Australia, Germany, the United States, the UK and other countries on Friday, affecting many critical services. Later, CrowdStrike CEO informed that the issue has been identified, isolated and a fix has been deployed. Cybersecurity firm has blamed a content update for the outage, which disrupted airlines, health systems and emergency services worldwide. Meanwhile, Microsoft has said the services are improving as mitigation actions are progressing. In India, the outage caused widespread flight delays across airports as well. The outage hit booking and check-in services of several airlines, including Indigo, Akasa Airlines and SpiceJet. They are currently collaborating with Microsoft to resolve the issue as quickly as possible. The Mumbai airport has been the hardest hit, while the impact at Delhi Airport remains minimal, with most disruptions taking place in Terminal 2. Civil Aviation Minister has said that they are actively managing the situation using manual methods to ensure minimal disruption. India's Ministry of Civil Aviation, in collaboration with the Airport Authority of India, has implemented manual backup systems to maintain operational continuity.
Microsoft outage has disrupted computer systems worldwide, affecting flights, banks, stock exchanges, payment systems and emergency services. The Indian government has taken note of the cyber outage and is in talks with Microsoft to find a resolution. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has released an advisory regarding the situation. Additionally, the Computer Emergency Response Team, or CERT, of the central government has provided guidance on how to address the issue. In India, flight delays were reported across airports, leading to long queues. The outage affected booking and checking-in services for several airlines as well, including Indigo, Akasa Airlines and SpiceJet. This unprecedented Microsoft outage has not only disrupted the global operations, but has also significantly impacted services in the country. Indian government, through the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and CERT, is actively working to mitigate the issue. With Campus Energy, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
Let's get you a little bit more on what Tapas mentioned. India's Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav wrote on social media platform X, and I quote, METI, which is the Ministry for Electronics and Information Technology, is in touch with Microsoft and its associates regarding the global outage. The reason for this outage has been identified and updates have been released to resolve the issue. CERT is issuing a technical advisory. NIC network is not affected. And former Minister of State for Electronics and IT, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, has said Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Suite are used by millions of Indians. So any outage on these platforms disrupts the business and operations of many companies. He hoped Microsoft restores the services at the earliest.
Something that is of great concern because number one, Microsoft 365 and the Microsoft Suite is used by millions of Indians, small businesses, big businesses, individual users, hospitals, and therefore any outage on this platform, it disrupts the business and 24/7 operations of many companies, and like I said, many individuals and small businesses. So I hope Microsoft works on this and restores the service very quickly.
Now, the Microsoft Cloud Services outage due to a cybersecurity content update has also had a massive impact in Europe and other nearby nations like the United Kingdom. Ollie Barrett is in London and gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Now, Ollie, is everything up and running for you guys in London and what has been the overall impact where you are and in Europe as well?
Well, Gautam, the first answer to your first question is that no, not yet. Nothing is quite fixed as things stand here in Europe. Schiphol Airport, Berlin Airport, London Gatwick Airport, Edinburgh Airport are among the airports that say they're being impacted by the outage in different ways. We've seen queues piling up at France's Orly Airport as well. Swiss air traffic control company Skyguide says as a precautionary measure that it's temporarily reduced capacity in Swiss air traffic by 30%. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz says German security institutions are working with international partners on the IT outage that's impacted banking as well and a number of other companies and institutions. And we can go to DD India's Ross Cullen now, who's joining us live from Paris. Ross, what is the latest situation in France where you are, and are we likely to see any impact on Olympic preparations?
Hi Ollie, we have seen several impacts from the global IT outage here in France. Let me run you through some of the examples. We have seen the turnstiles at Disneyland Paris go out of order. Now that is really causing a problem. It's in the middle of the school holidays on a scorching day here, well over 30 degrees here in Paris today, causing problems there at Disneyland Paris, but the turnstiles are now back on. Air France, the national carrier, they also did announce that they had suffered some of their problems, serious operational issues due to the outage. Lille Airport, well, the check-in desks for the online, they went down, so everyone was having to check in by hand. There were also queues, as you pointing out, at the second biggest airport in the country at Orly. And Orange, one of the biggest mobile operators in Europe, did also announce that they had some service interruptions due to the IT outage. Now, in terms of the impact on the Olympics, it's likely to be travel where there is a bit of an effect today, because the delegations, athletes, dignitaries, some of the visitors are already starting to arrive. Orly Airport will be one of those key entry points for people coming into the Olympics. In terms of the cyber security and the cyber side of this, not as much of an impact as we are likely to see on the travel arrangements of people coming into Paris ready for the Olympics, which get underway officially with the sporting action next Wednesday.
Ross Cullen in Paris, thank you. Next to the northern UK city of Leeds, which saw unrest overnight local time as angry rioters set a double-decker bus on fire, smashed windows and overturned a police car. It's thought to have been in response to local officials separating children from their parents over welfare concerns. Security's been increased in the area, with West Yorkshire Police saying it's been dealing with a serious disorder incident by deploying appropriate specialist public order resources. The force is promising a full investigation into the rioting and any criminal offences, including damage to vehicles from fire. Well, UK Home Secretary Yvette Cooper's condemned the violence on social media platform X. She said she is appalled at the shocking scenes and attacks on police vehicles and public transport in Leeds. She went on, "Disorder of this nature has no place in our society," and she said her thanks go to West Yorkshire Police for their response. The Home Secretary said that she is being kept regularly updated. Staying here in the UK, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been meeting with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Zelensky became the first world leader to visit the newly elected British Prime Minister at Downing Street. The UK Prime Minister affirmed Britain's ongoing support for Ukraine despite the recent change in government. Zelensky also addressed the UK cabinet and stressed that long-range missile capability is key in his country's efforts in its conflict with Russia.
We must deprive Putin of money and capability to produce more weapons, and for his disregard of human life, he must pay with his losses and his defeat. How can we ensure this? Right now we are missing the main answer to this question, and that is our long-range capability. By defending Ukraine against the Russian advance on Kharkiv in May, June, we have proven that we can stop any Russian attempt to expand the war.
To Israel, where a long-range drone hit the centre of Tel Aviv on Friday in an attack claimed by the Houthi group. Israeli military and emergency services say one person was killed and 18 others injured in the attack. The explosion happened hours after the Israeli military confirmed it had killed a senior commander of the Hezbollah group in southern Lebanon. The Israeli military says the drone that hit Tel Aviv was launched from Yemen.
After an initial investigation that we carried out, and from the findings at the scene and on the military systems, it appears that it's an unmanned aircraft of the Samad 3 model. Our investigation is that it arrived from Yemen to Tel Aviv.
צימד 3 הוא אמצעי לחימה איראני.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the Rafah crossing on Thursday. He said it was essential that the army continue to control the Rafah border crossing with Egypt and the Philadelphia corridor. He also met senior army officers and visited an observation post overlooking the corridor.
I understood that our holding of the Philadelphia corridor and the Rafah crossing are essential to continue. At the same time, the military pressure that they are applying here to the throat of the Hamas is helping us, together with the steadfast insistence on just our demands, to advance the hostages deal, including our demand to free the maximum number of hostages already in the first stage of the outline. This double pressure is not delaying the deal, it is advancing it.
Donald Trump is now formally the Republican Party's nominee for president. On Friday, at the end of the 4-day convention held by the Republicans, he accepted their nomination with a vow to make America great again, and he called upon party workers and the people to ensure his victory in November's election.
Former US President Donald Trump, during his acceptance speech, thanked God for saving his life from an assassination bid. It was an emotional, touching 90 minutes plus, the longest acceptance speech in the history of the United States.
When I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear, I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved. I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that.
The former US President Trump touched on many important topics plaguing the USA as well as the world. Raising stridently the situation of conflict across the globe, the Republican candidate said he's going to end the war between Russia and Ukraine after his victory in November this year. He also said that he's going to work with Israel to end the war with Hamas.
Nobody can believe what's happening. War is now raging in Europe, in the Middle East. A growing specter of conflict hangs over Taiwan, Korea, the Philippines, and all of Asia, and our planet is teetering on the edge of World War III, and this will be a war like no other war because of weaponry. The weapons are...
The Republican presidential nominee also railed against illegal immigration and against inflation.
I will end the illegal immigration crisis by closing our border and finishing the wall, most of which I've already built.
He vowed a massive tax cut for the workers and to provide relief to the middle class in his country.
And you know who's being hurt the most by millions of people pouring into our country? The black population and the Hispanic population, because they're taking the jobs from our black population, our Hispanic population, and they're also taking them from unions.
In his acceptance speech, Trump hailed his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, and his wife, who is of Indian origin. He also thanked his wife, Melania Trump, and all his family members in the aftermath of the assassination bid against him. He said that his opponent, Joe Biden, is a zero and had been running a weak government for the last 4 years. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
And with that, Gautam, back to you.
Thank you, Ollie, for the helping hand from London. Well, still to come on DD India Global. Air India sends a ferry flight to Russia for stranded US-bound passengers following an emergency landing. And 5 nests of critically endangered Siamese crocodiles discovered in a Cambodian national park.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're with DD India Global. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, Bangladesh continues to simmer. Over 50 people are reported to be dead and 100 others have been injured in nationwide protests so far. 13 people were killed on Thursday alone as thousands of students clashed with armed police in Dhaka, the worst day of the violence so far in protests in Bangladesh against a policy that sets quotas for the allocation of government jobs. Hundreds were injured as police fired tear gas and rubber bullets to break up groups of protesters who torched vehicles, police posts and other establishments. Protesters also attacked the Bangladesh television headquarters in Dhaka. Bangladeshi authorities cut some mobile internet services to quell the anti-quota protests. Now, the United Nations has urged the Bangladesh government to protect the protesting students demanding quota reforms in government jobs against any form or threat of violence. And India's External Affairs Ministry has urged Indian nationals residing in Bangladesh to follow the advisory issued by the High Commission of India in Dhaka. The Indian community and its members and Indian students residing in Bangladesh are advised to avoid local travel and minimize their movement outside their living premises. In view of the ongoing situation in Bangladesh, the Indian High Commission in Dhaka has asked people to reach out to the High Commission and Assistant High Commissions at their 24-hour emergency numbers in case of any urgency or need for assistance.
As you are aware, there is an unrest, there are protests which are happening there. We have around 8,500 students and somewhere around 15,000 Indian nationals resident in the country. We have issued a travel advisory for people to be in touch with the High Commission and for us to render any assistance that they may need. External Affairs Minister is himself monitoring the situation. The High Commission will be giving regular updates on the situation there. We will also be giving regular updates, and we urge all family members of Indian nationals who reside in Bangladesh to be in touch follow us for regular updates. We remain committed to provide all possible assistance to our nationals.
India's Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has had a conversation with the Ukrainian Foreign Minister on Friday. The leaders spoke on further developing bilateral relations between both the nations. The Ministry of External Affairs said that Finance Minister of Ukraine discussed issues of bilateral interest.
Afternoon, External Affairs Minister spoke to the Foreign Minister of Ukraine and discussed bilateral issues of mutual interest. As far as the question about Yeshi, you had a related question on Ukraine.
Another ferry flight of Air India AI-1179 has departed from Mumbai to ferry stranded passengers of the AI-183 flight at Krasnoyarsk Airport of Russia with sufficient food and other essentials. The flight AI-183 operating on Delhi to San Francisco route had made an emergency landing at Russia's Krasnoyarsk International Airport around midnight local time, citing security concerns. Representatives from the Indian consulate in Moscow have been working with Russian authorities to provide support to the stranded passengers. A dedicated hotline has also been set up by the operator in case of any queries. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri will be on a two-day official visit to Bhutan from Friday. This will be his first visit abroad after assuming charge. During the visit, Misri will meet Prime Minister Tshering Togbe, Foreign Minister D.N. Dhungel and Foreign Secretary Pema Chodin, among others. Misri will also receive an audience with Bhutanese King Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk. Now, as India's union budget approaches, it's anticipated that significant reforms for key sectors will be undertaken. Experts from various sectors have several expectations from the upcoming union budget, like increased spending in their sectors, among others. Saurabh Kumar, Vice President and Head at Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, that's the GAPP, India, has shared what he expects from the energy sector, and Aman Dhal, who is a sports mentor, talks on expectations of the sports sector from the union budget.
We need to ensure that our next generation is going out. They are active, and that will help us becoming a healthy society. So for me, I think the biggest expectation from the government is to increase 10 to 20x investment in laying sports infrastructure, a lot of public space for sports, and ensuring that we are simultaneously doing talent development.
Work that the government of India has been doing in the last 10 years needs to be not just continued but possibly accelerated. And two or three things that are critically important. The first one is energy storage, in particular battery energy storage. Number two, energy transitions will need coordinated efforts amongst variety of stakeholders. India will be in a position to take a leadership position and show to the global south how net positive energy transitions can be undertaken in a just and equitable manner.
RBI Governor Shaktikant Das, while speaking at a BFSI summit, said that banks and other financial entities need to continuously invest in technology while also developing the right kind of capabilities which successfully tackle challenges like digital frauds.
Concern is the rise in digital frauds. Though many of such frauds are due to various social engineering attacks on customers, there is also a rapid increase in use of mule bank accounts to perpetrate such frauds. This exposes the bank not only to serious financial and operational risk, but also to reputational risks. Banks therefore need to strengthen their customer onboarding and transaction monitoring systems to monitor unscrupulous activities, including suspicious and unusual transactions.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world. The British Consul General in Russia, Amir Kotecha, has expressed his support for the US journalist Evan Gershkovich. Evan's trial is underway in Yekaterinburg, and the final verdict will be given on Friday itself. He's been under trial on espionage charges repeatedly denied by the journalist. Authorities from Singapore Navy rescued 62 crew members from 2 oil tankers that had caught fire on Friday early morning near the Pedra Branca island. The cause of the fire is yet unknown, but the owner of Singapore flag tanker spoke of a collision with a second vessel. A fire broke out in an industrial estate near Barcelona on Friday. Residents were confined within the area to prevent risk of chemical exposure. The fire was brought under control by firefighting teams who are still working to douse the fire completely in this Spanish city. 5 nests of the critically endangered Siamese crocodiles have been discovered in the Cardamom National Park in Cambodia. Out of total 106 eggs, 60 hatched successfully and were left in their natural habitat. The discovery brings hope for the species, which is only 1,000 crocodiles left worldwide. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Global, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code right there on the screen and download the app now. And we'll be back with more news and updates as they break here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Global.